Thanks for tuning into Hudstone Media, where we use our superpower of hindsight to rewrite movies and TV series.
In this video, we continue our Star Wars Rewritten series with Episode 2, Rise of the Empire. This will be a 3-part video. We hope you enjoy. If you haven't seen Episode 1 yet, just click the link above, or check out our video series on how the original Star Wars trilogy explained the events of the prequels. They arrive on Tatooine. Sharad heads to the local cantina to organise passage to Zygerria, whilst the others meet up with Owen and Beru. Owen and Beru greet them warmly and invite them to stay for dinner and to spend the night. Sharad returns and tells them that he's managed to get them on a spice freighter to safely enter Zygerria. That night, Anakin and Padme spend time together, Anakin sharing his childhood, growing up as a slave, and the death of his parents. The two bond over it and nearly kiss, but they are interrupted by Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan speaks with Anakin. He tells him that his feelings are getting stronger, both for Padme and his anger at Zygerria, and that he needs to calm his mind and control his feelings. The next morning, they discuss the plan to get to Zygerria. Sharad tells Anakin that he must pose as the navigator. Anakin refuses as he's a pilot, a great pilot, and a Jedi Knight, the saviour of Alderaan. Obi-Wan reminds him to keep his emotions under control and that they all need to play their part, including Padme, who needs to act as a servant. Padme protested this, but they both accept the part they need to play. Before they leave, Owen again pleads with Anakin to give up this dangerous life, to return back to Tatooine, but Anakin refuses yet again. On the flight, Sharad begins spending time with Padme, flirting with her again and impressing her with stories of his bounty hunting and the Force. Anakin becomes jealous, but is pulled aside by Obi-Wan, who provides some teachings about ownership and attachment. Anakin protests that Sharad doesn't control his feelings. He uses the Force however he wants. Obi-Wan remarks that he has left the Order and is no longer a Jedi. Anakin asks, then what are they? They are not under the control of the Council. Obi-Wan reminds him that he's still a Jedi and fighting to restore peace and justice to the galaxy, and when the conflict is over, they will return to the Jedi Order. Later on during the flight, Padme finds Anakin, who is still upset. He explains why, and she places a hand on his face and tells him that she feels nothing for Sharad, that another has her heart. Anakin smiles broadly, and as she leaves, she glances back, returning a warm smile. As they enter Zygerria, they are searched and questioned by security. After a few tense moments, when they believe they're about to be found out, they are set free to go. They see a lot of refugee ships from separatist planets. Padme is shocked. She didn't realise the pain the war was causing for the other side. Anakin reminds her that this is why they're going to end the war once and for all. They ask Anakin where to find Wato, the slave master. He looks around but doesn't recognise the area. There's been a lot of change over the years. Sharad rolls his eyes and laments what a waste this has been. Obi-Wan calms everyone's anxiety and orders them to split up and to see what they can find. Anakin insists on going with Padme. Then Sharad also insists he escort Padme. Obi-Wan tells both the boys to concentrate on the mission. Padme turns to both the boys and insists she'll be fine by herself. She flashes her blaster and heads off alone. Obi-Wan tells Anakin and Sharad to stick together and play nice. Anakin and Sharad move through the crowd, asking stall owners about Wato. Sharad uses mind tricks to find where the slave master is. Anakin asks if that's allowed. Sharad replies, it is if you're not a Jedi. Sharad and Anakin eventually find Wato. They quietly take out his guards, then question him in an alleyway. Sharad uses the Force to choke Wato as he questions him. Anakin smiles as Sharad tortures his old master. Anger and resentment fill his body. Then he snaps out of it, and he tells Sharad to stop. Anakin tells Wato that he doesn't know if he'll be able to stop his friend from choking him next time. The slave master's throat begins to tighten. Then he gives up and tells them where the secret facility and Dooku are. But the master then smiles and tells them that they'll need an access card or they'll be blown out of the sky. They demand that the master get them the data card. When Anakin spots a hooded figure lurking at the end of the street, it's Darth Maul. Anakin grabs Sharad and yells for him to follow. Sharad is confused, but does so. Maul runs through the crowd, then out into the trading square where Padme is asking some of the local merchants for information. She sees him and freezes. He smiles and advances towards her. Padme immediately pulls out her blaster and starts firing. He deflects the lasers back at the merchants standing next to her. They fall down in pain. Padme stops firing as she sees the death surrounding her. She's shocked. Padme then pulls out a thermal detonator. Maul stops. He feels her anger and her intention. Then Anakin leaps towards Maul with lightsaber in hand, striking down at him. At the last minute, Maul defends the attack. The two battle in an intense duel. Anakin strikes wildly. Maul defends his attacks and laughs. "Your anger is not strong enough. You are not strong enough." Maul then shimmies an attack and cuts off Anakin's hand. Maul stands over him and laughs. As he does, Padme again begins firing at Maul, who blocks the lasers. Maul then looks down at Anakin and smiles. He deflects one of the lasers back at Padme, hitting her in the arm and sending her to the ground. Maul then tries to flee, but Sharad arrives, igniting his lightsaber and attacking him. Then Obi-Wan arrives and joins the fight as Maul ignites his second blade to defend their attacks. Anakin quickly runs to Padme's side. Zygerrian police enter the square and begin stunning the whole crowd. In the confusion, Maul leaps onto a roof and escapes via the rooftops. Obi-Wan and Sharad are stunned by the police. Padme and Anakin flee with the crowd, but the police are in close pursuit. Anakin tells her to run down an alley as he turns and gives himself up to the police, whilst using the Force to collapse the food stalls behind her, blocking her from the police and allowing her to escape. In the Zygerrian police cells, Obi-Wan sits calmly, meditating, while Sharad is pacing, lamenting that they didn't escape. Anakin agrees with Sharad that they need to do something more to escape. Sharad demands that they use the Force to open the door and make their escape, that these cells are nothing to a Jedi. Obi-Wan asks the two to sit down and meditate and gives them some wise words about the Force, telling him that darkness only brings misery and the Force will help guide them to safety. As they wait, Anakin realizes that the slaves in the next cell all look alike. They are clones. He strikes up a conversation with them. The clones reveal that they rebelled against their masters and started their own crew, that they are free. Anakin explains that he thought all clones were obedient and couldn't disobey their master's orders. They reveal newer generations are grown to be obedient, but the older generations weren't as well made. Some still have free will. Meanwhile, Padme disguises herself as a servant of the elite, stealing keys to the cells and the Jedi's lightsabers. Padme arrives dressed as a servant with food. She begins to unlock the Jedi cell when guards enter the room. She quickly hides the keys as the jailers open the cells and take the Jedi and the clones to the Colosseum. The guards demand Padme follow them and serve food to the royalty. Obi-Wan, Sharad, and Anakin are sent into the gladiatorial ring with the rest of the slaves, handed weapons and made to fight. As the battle begins, the Jedi don't fight and subdue all their attacks using the Force. Obi-Wan reminds them that Jedi only fight in self-defense. Sharad disagrees. He tells Obi-Wan they need to attack first to survive. The remaining slaves, including the clones, stop fighting as they see the Jedi's power and their kindness to their opponents. The crowd jeers in disgust, and the king of the slave masters calls for the battle to be halted. The king tells the slaves their life is forfeit and that if they do not fight, they will die. Anakin calls out to the fighters, "Stop fighting each other. Why die for them when we can come together and free ourselves from them?" The slaves join together in the center of the arena, shake hands, and turn to the masters, who are enraged. The king signals for the main gates to be opened and a number of vicious alien creatures are released. The soldiers huddle together, anticipating an attack from the creatures that charge towards them. Anakin, however, calmly walks towards the Rik, a three-horned rhino creature, and uses the Force to tame it. The other Jedi do the same with the other animals, and the slaves now charge at the masters. The crowd cheers with excitement. Then Anakin, as he rides the Rik beast, crashes into the Colosseum wall, creating a crack. Anakin uses the Force to pull down the cracked walls and create a path up to the main grandstand, which the slaves charge up. At the same time, Obi-Wan and Sharad use the Force to open the gates for all the slaves to escape. Padme takes out the lightsabers and throws them down to the Jedi. The slave master yells at his guard to kill Padme, but she disarms the one closest to her, takes his blaster, and shoots the Master's guards and fires at the Masters. The Colosseum crowd flee in panic as slaves and beasts ascend into the grandstands. The three Jedi reunite with Padme and flee with the crowd. As they do, Anakin spots his old master escaping through an exit. He calls to the others to find a ship to escape, that he'll catch up with them soon. Padme looks worried and begins to protest, but he's already darted off after the Master. The Jedi and Padme arrive in a large hangar where Masters and spectators fight and scramble to get to their ships. They arrive at Wato's slave master's ship, and Obi-Wan uses the Jedi mind trick to get on board past the guards. Sharad begins the engines and starts flying towards the exit, low near the walkway as spectators and slave masters yell for assistance. As they approach the entrance, Wato's guards begin firing at the ship. They descend closer to the entrance as the attacks intensify. Then the clone slaves emerge from the entrance and attack the slave master's guards. Closely followed by Anakin, who leaps up to the ship's lowered entrance platform and boards the ship as they fly out of the atmosphere. Anakin, out of breath, lies in the ship's hull as Padme runs over and embraces him with a big hug. They embrace longer than just friends and gaze into each other's eyes, which Obi-Wan notices. Sharad remarks that the mission is over and that he'll set coordinates back to Alderaan. Obi-Wan asks Anakin, what was he doing running off like that? Anakin begins laughing and tells Sharad that the mission is still on. He tells them that he stole Wato's access card and has the coordinates for the secret base. Padme hugs him. You're amazing, she tells him. I knew you could do it. Obi-Wan congratulates Anakin and agrees they should continue to the coordinates supplied, though he looks over at Anakin and strokes his beard with concern. Sharad congratulates him sarcastically and storms off. Obi-Wan follows Sharad to speak with him. Sharad laments at how Obi-Wan abandoned him for Anakin, how after his injuries he needed his master there. Obi-Wan explains that Sharad was ready for the trials to become a full Jedi Master. There was nothing more to teach him, and that he wanted to help him recover, but the Clone Wars began and he was needed on Alderaan. As they fly to the secret cloning facility on Geonosis, Obi-Wan speaks with Anakin. He explained that he senses much anger growing in Anakin. Anakin apologizes that Zygerria has brought out a lot of bad memories, but he's working through it and he's replacing them with good memories, as he looks at Padme. Obi-Wan reminds him that Jedis have no connections, no possessions, and must be free of emotions both good and bad, as they can be used to control him, to pull him to the dark side. Anakin laughs that he feels the light side of the Force throughout his entire being, and it is the will of the Force that has brought them together and on this mission. Obi-Wan smiles and reluctantly agrees.
Thanks for watching part 2 of Rise of the Empire. We'll look to get the conclusion of Rise of the Empire out as soon as we can.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time.